Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome back to the Humble Servant Homestead, guys. Today, we are out here down by the orchard, as you all can see. Now, if you all oftentimes remember, if you go back to those older videos, you will see what we pretty much do down here at the orchard, guys. And so I am here today to talk a little bit of how we go about planting inside of our orchard, and how we pretty much construct this area right here. So one of the things, as I sat down and I thought about it, I said, hey, you know what? I want to bring you all back on how we go about amending our holes for our orchard, guys. Because absolutely, of course, one of the thing is why we do these videos is to bring the little knowledge that we have learned here on the homestead and throughout our lives to you guys, so that way you all can have a successful garden. Okay, so one of the things what I want to go ahead and do, you all can check out our older videos on how we go about constructing the holes here on the homestead to plant out. But I know a lot of times you all don't go back and check out the older videos. So what I am going to do for you all today is go ahead and show you all how we go about constructing a hole here in the garden, and also how we amend the hole. All right, so if you all remember, when we came on in and we did a cleanup video down here, we pretty much talked about how far apart we space our holes. So those holes, the spacing on those holes, guys, is about 5 feet wide. Okay, so we space them 5 feet wide so that way they can have enough space in between. So what we want to go ahead and do right now is pretty much show you all how we have been amending these holes for quite a while now. I want to say probably about 3 years since we did the video showing you all how we came on in and do it. So right here, I actually hold this spot to do a demonstration, guys, and time just got away from me, but today I am here. All right, so we have a emitter right here in this spot. So what we're pretty much going to do right now is, and I'm going to do it as if I'm starting from scratch. All right, and so what I would do is I would go ahead and I would pretty much dig a hole wherever I am going to be planting. All right, and I would pretty much take that dirt out of that hole. And one of the things I want you to notice also, as we're taking this dirt out, look at the color of this dirt, guys. Now that is coming from over the years of amending this soil. Now if you notice, as I get down a bit further down into the dirt, you see what I am hitting. I am hitting that Georgia red clay. All right, now oftentimes people would be a bit afraid to plant in red clay, but red clay is actually a pretty good medium, guys, to plant in. You just have to know how to work it and how to get it amended. Okay, look at that big old clump right there. All right, so pretty much what I came on in and did is just this right here. All right, now another thing is, if you notice how moist this red clay is, because that is what it do once the sun is not hitting it direct. If it's underneath with a mulch or something of that nature, what will happen, guys, this Georgia red clay, it will hold in a lot of your fertilizer and a lot of your minerals, whatever you put inside of it. Okay, the key thing is just making sure that you amend the soil. All right, so now this right here is pretty much what we did for all of our holes down here in the garden. Now this is about the depth that I will go. We're looking right at about I say about a foot deep. Okay. Now, what we also went ahead and did when we came on down, um, my mixture that I have here, you could come on in, camera lady. So my mixture that I have right here, guys, is I have some chicken manure and I also have some compost that we have made here on the homestead. Okay, so this is pretty much just goat manure, hay mixture, and look how beautiful and loose this soil is. That is exactly what we're looking for. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to go ahead and put this chicken manure down at the bottom of this hole right here. Okay, just like that. So we'll put that chicken manure down at the bottom. Then what we will do, we will come on in with some of this compost that we have made here on the homestead, just like that. So just about that right there should be enough. Okay, now what we're also going to come on in and do now is we're going to backfill back this native soil, or this, it would have been native soil, but because this hole has been amended over the years, we're going to say native soil and also some organic matter that we have put in over a period of time. So we're going to come back on in and we're going to backfill this right here. Now, what I'm going to do with this native soil or old compost, we're going to mix it all in with the new stuff. Okay, now that chicken manure is going to be pretty much down there at the bottom. I'm not really trying to work that chicken manure. I want it to stay in place where it is down there at the bottom. Okay, what that's going to do is as the roots of the plants start venturing out, it will hit that chicken manure, being able to absorb that nitrogen and also the different minerals that is in the chicken manure as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and backfill this on up just like that right there. Okay, so now that we and any big pieces of soil, you want to go ahead and also loosen that up as well. What that is going to do is going to help your seed to be able to germinate a whole lot better, whatever it is that you're putting in that hole. All right, and what we would oftentimes do, if you notice over here, we would come back on in and top it off back with some of that goat compost, or that compost that we make here on the homestead. Because one of the things that we are also doing here, guys, is to make sure that we're building really, really nice soil health. Okay, the healthier your soil, is the healthier your plants will be. So keep that in mind, right? And so we will top that off just like that. Now, one of the things what this compost right here will also do, and if you can see, we have a little bit of that white mycelium inside of here. But what that compost will do over a period of time, this right here, it will be dry on the top, but underneath it will stay really nice and moist. And that is exactly how we like it. So if you're wondering how we get these holes made, this is how we do it. Now, there is other ways how you can do it, guys. If you can't get your hand on goat compost or whatever, go to the store and get you some bags of compost, and you can use half of that bag in a hole and also mixing it back in with your native soil. You can also go out and get that granulated chicken manure, put down there at the bottom, but that I would want to work that in with the soil. Okay, so go ahead and that is how we pretty much do it. Okay, now stay tuned. That is going to lead us into the next segment on how we have this beautiful orchard pretty much flourishing down here. So here we are back. Now this is going to lead us now into the next segment here, guys. Now what we have here that you are looking at is the three sister crop. Now this is one of those things that I want to go ahead and talk to you all a little bit about, so that way if you all have a homestead, or if you want to look into a different method of how to grow, this is also another method that you can also use. Now, one of the thing is, absolutely, I cannot take any credit for this method right here. The Native Americans, the one that came on up with this method. And like I said in my previous video, Gad rise. All right, so now this right here is the Three Sisters crop, what you are looking at. Now, what I also want to do is to break this down just a little bit for you all. Now, when we first got started, what we came in and did, the crop that we planted first was, the first sister that we planted was the corn. Okay, now if you all notice, this corn right here, it is looking real nice and, you know, pretty much healthy. Now that comes from how we went about amending the holes. All right, so once this corn right here, guys, reach right at about I want to say 8 inches to about a foot, what we came on in and did, we went ahead and plant the second sister. Now, before I move on to the second sister, what I want to also go ahead and do is to talk a little bit about this corn. Now, if you're going to be planting corn in your Three Sisters crop, guys, because what we're doing here, we're planting stuff pretty much for long-term storage. So you want to make sure that you're picking a corn that can last a long time. And that would be your dent corn, guys. Now, if you want to plant anywhere from the Jimmy Red corn, the trucker's favorite corn, any corn that is a dent corn is pretty much what you would want to plant. Now, yes, preferably an heirloom, because you always want to make sure you plant something that you can come back on out and plant and it will stay true. All right, so with this corn right here, the reason why we have it here planted with our Three Sisters crop is because, like I said, long-term storage, and also the things that you can also do with this corn right here. Now, your corn is more beneficial for you when you break the fibers down, when you grind it into a cornmeal, you grind it into making grits, also your flour, just to where that you can consume that corn. You get the benefit better when you break that fiber down with this corn.
So when you say dent corn, you're talking the opposite of a sweet corn. You're talking about a hard corn.
Yes,
right?
a hard corn. So the difference between a dent corn and a sweet corn, your dent corn is a bit more, it's a bit more harder corn. You know, especially when it comes to storage, it's a bit more better for you. Sweet corn is one of those corns is where that when you plant it outside, you're able to go ahead and harvest that corn and eat it. It is real nice and sweet. Now this corn right here, if you let it grow to where it's mature and ready to break and eat, you will notice that it is not as sweet. It is more like of a starchy taste on the inside. So those are that's your difference between your sweet corn and your dent corn. Dent corn is more one of those things that you can use for making meal, cornmeal, your grits, your flour, and of that nature. Your sweet corn don't really have that flex.
Right away.
Yes, eat it right away. You don't really have that flexibility with your sweet corn. All right, so now that is pretty much your corn. So that is why when you make you do your Three Sisters crop, you want to make sure that you look into getting a good quality dent corn, preferably heirloom. Now, what we are also going to do now is touch on the second sister for this plant right here. So now, of course, once you plant your corn, guys, your second sister, she need a bit of a support. Okay, she need someone to kind of help her. And let me come back just a little bit. Your second sister that you will be planting needs to be a vining bean, something that likes to climb, needs a trellis. Now, that is where your first sister will come on in once you plant your second sister, which is your bean. And if you notice right here, to give you all a quick example of what I'm talking about. So your first sister, which is the corn, is being supported, is helping to support the second sister, which is your bean. And as you all can see, how she is vining up around her first sister, which is the corn, guys. All right, so make sure it is a vine and bean that you're planting. Now, one of the beans that we absolutely love here on the homestead, we love to plant, is the rattlesnake pole bean. Simple reason why we can get right at about three different
Stages.
stages out of this bean. We can harvest it as a green bean. We can harvest it as
Fresh
a
bean.
fresh bean, and we can also harvest it as a dry bean. So therefore, we can use this bean at three different stages if we need to. All right, so that is why we choose the rattlesnake pole bean. Now, just to talk a little bit about this bean, of course, like I said, when you create this crop or whenever you plant this crop right here, you're looking to plant it for stuff for long-term storage. Now, of course, with this rattlesnake pole bean, we would leave it into its third stage, which is the dry stage, guys. So we can come out here and harvest them once they get dry to put them away for storage. Okay, so just to even talk a little bit about the benefit of this bean right here. Uh, it has your fiber in it, also having your protein in it. So in a situation where that you're down to your last resort, where you just have you some beans, this bean right here with a little bit of rice should be able to sustain you for a little bit of time, especially if you have enough of it put away. All right, now that right there is pretty much it on the second sister. So now we have covered your first sister, which is the corn, your second sister, which is the bean. Now we're going to talk a little bit now about the third sister, and that is going to be whether you want to, whatever you prefer. Okay, whether you plant in pumpkin or squash. Now, we here on the homestead, guys, we prefer to plant pumpkin with this three sister right here. So the third, leading us into the third sister, which is going to be your pumpkin. All right. So now, if you notice, one of the things that is going on with this pumpkin right here, she is pretty much sprawling all over on the floor. Okay. And that is exactly what you want, because what that is going to also do for the rest of the sisters that are planted out in this area is going to help with weed suppression, guys. So, but one of the things that I like to do before my pumpkins start running, I like to come on down here and clean the garden, keeping it real nice and tidy, so that way it is not full of weed or it's full of bush once this pumpkin start running. Okay, so if you notice, the garden area here is fairly clean. That is because I am cleaning it up so that way when the third sister start running, she have a clear path to run on through. But what will happen, she will keep the weed suppressed. Okay, so that way, because one of the thing is, plants don't really like to compete with other weeds, guys. But with this three sister crop, they love one another. They strive with one another. They helps to build also a good root structure. Okay. And we also will come back a little bit and talk about that second sister in just a moment. But we're going to finish up on the third sister first, which is the pumpkin. Now, with you coming on out here and also planting the third sister, guys, they build a symbiotic relationship with one another. Okay, so with this pumpkin, it's going to come on in and it's going to put on beautiful fruits throughout this garden right here. And when the time is right, you can come on out and harvest those pumpkins. Now, talking about harvesting, of course, we're talking about planting these things right here for long-term storage, and that is one of the things that the Native Americans, they had down packed, because yes, absolutely, they had to plant their food that can be able to store for long term, and that is where this right here comes in really well. Okay, so this pumpkin right here, as I said, can last up to about 6 months in storage, if not longer. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick a pin right here and go and grab a pumpkin off the mantle that I harvested out last fall. So stay tuned, guys. And we are back with that pumpkin that I have been talking so much about, guys. So now this right here is that pumpkin that we had put away since last fall.
One of them.
Yes, one of them. Now, speaking of putting away, now, one of the things is that you also want to keep in mind whenever you are going to put away pumpkin like this for a long-term storage, you want to make sure that you leave that stem all the way up on this pumpkin right here. Don't cut it down all the way down in here. Leave that whole stem on this pumpkin. Now, what that is going to do is going to help to keep air from entering down here into the tip of the pumpkin, causing it to start molding and go bad real quick. So always leave that stem all the way up on the top. But yes, this right here is that pumpkin that I have been talking about, and look at that, still nice and beautiful. The color is still looking good on the inside. But yes, that is it right there, guys. So like I said, planting out your pumpkin with your three sisters crop. Now, you can use squash if you want, but we absolutely love pumpkins, guys, and that is why we plant the pumpkin here. Now, to talk a little bit now about the benefit of that pumpkin, of course, we're talking about long-term storage here. You think about if you get into a situation where you don't really have much to eat, but you have this pumpkin right here. Now, this pumpkin right here is full of a lot of fiber. Okay, it is also have it is also, yes, yes, and it's also, yes, vitamin A and C, which is, you think about in a cold time, you definitely need that vitamin C, guys. Okay, another thing is it is also good for skin health. Okay, so in a situation where that time is cold and in you need some good nutrients within your body to help to keep you healthy, the pumpkin will do that for you. Okay, so just to come back on in real quick and talk a little bit about the second sister, which is your bean. Bean right here, guys, is a nitrogen fixer. So what it's doing is gathering the oxygen out of the air and storing little modules down there at the base of the root. So therefore, your corn, which is the first sister, will be able to benefit from the beans. So now that is why they plant them the way how they do. Now, within the first year, your corn will not benefit from the bean. Simple reason why, because those modules down there have not released your nitrogen fixing properties in the soil as yet. So the second year is when your corn will be able to benefit from the bean, and that is you coming in and reusing that hole over and over again. Now, one of the things is you can also rotate it to where that you can plant pumpkins in one area, beans in one area, and you can shift that on over and rotate it on out so that way these holes will be good and ready to plant again next year. All right, so that right there, guys. Yes.
And one other thing too, for somebody that is limited on space,
Mm-hmm.
but needing to plant a lot of food, utilizing this type of planting will help with that because again, if you look at one hole,
Mm-hmm.
you have corn here, you have
Mm-hmm.
beans here, and you have pumpkin or squash here. Three different crops that you're planting in this one little small area.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And as you all can see here, one of the thing is that you also, if you're in a small space, you want to space it out to where that, you're able to plant enough corn in that space as well. Because one of the thing is corn definitely need each other to pollinate itself. If you only have maybe one hole with just the corn, you may have to come on in and help to pollinate the ear of your corn. Simple reason why you don't have enough pollen to where that it once the wind blow, it can scatter and hit the ear of this corn. Okay, so this corn right here, like I said, is a dent corn. It's a trucker's favorite corn, which this corn gives us 2 ears, guys, and that's what we're looking for.
ears per
2 ears
stalk.
per stalk. Absolutely. So, hey, that right there is pretty much it. I pray that this right here was a beneficial video for you, something that you can go ahead and implement on your homestead or wherever you may be. Now, like I said, I can't take any credit for this. This is a method from the Native Americans. Now, remembering my grandfather, when he used to plant back home, he used to plant the bean and the corn together. And hey, that is one of the things that I've been doing here as well. But I said, hey, you know what? Why not turn the orchard into a three sister crop area? And that is what we started doing here, guys. Okay. But as you all can see, it is thriving. But what I also want to do is stay tuned. We're going to turn this camera on around and I'm going to give you all a walkthrough in this area so you can see what it is looking like. Okay, and so here we are giving you all a bit of a walkthrough on what we are doing here. All right. Now this one right here was some that I did came on in and plant at a later date, guys. And as y'all can see, those beans, they are coming up. Okay. Corn is looking real nice and beautiful and looking green. Okay. Now, if y'all notice, we have some pumpkins coming out right here from the sides. That pumpkin, once it get itself established and start running, it will take this whole entire area on over. Okay, so that right there, guys, is pretty much it. That is our Three Sisters crop that we have planted out down here in the orchard. Now later on down, I will come on in and may add a few more rows right in this area right here. But that is it. I just want to say thanks to each and every one of you all out there for stopping by the Humble Servant Homestead. And as always, peace and blessings to each and every one of you all out there. Remember, you keep a smile on your face, you be happy, you be cheerful, and you be blessed. Until next time, I will catch you all in another video. Have a blessed